Hey guys, Justin here with AmericanTrucks.com, and today we're taking a closer look at and installing the Rough Country power running boards available for all 2015 and newer Super Crew F-150s. Now you guys should be checking out the Rough Country options if you'd like to go with one of the more affordable power steps in the category to automatically deploy whenever the door is open and then automatically retract whenever the door is closed, thus making for a very clean look with a ton of convenience. So let's get into them. So the big feature here with this and pretty much any power running board on the site is the fact that they are powered. And what I mean by that is, guys, they're gonna automatically deploy anytime your door is open and then again retract underneath the body every time the door is closed. Now, not only do they deploy automatically, but typically a powered running board such as this is going to deploy much lower than a traditional fixed running board or even a drop step. And that's just going to make getting into and out of a stock or lifted F-150 a much easier process. Now, on top of that, guys, Rough Country does kick in some added LED lighting with these steps. That's going to help illuminate the actual steps themselves at night. And they're also going to add some additional safety features that will prevent the boards from closing or pinching if it detects any blockages. Now that's great for those of you out there, including myself, with little ones or dogs. You know, obviously you want to keep the safety in mind first. And the fact that these boards do include those safety measures, always a good peace of mind. Now, aside from the functional benefits here of the power boards from Rough Country, one of my favorite aspects is the appearance benefits of the boards. Once they tuck up against the lower rocker area of your truck, just makes for a much cleaner appearance overall. Now, your construction is going to be extremely solid despite the more budget-friendly price point here, guys. In fact, Rough Country does utilize a 6-inch wide, lightly textured aluminum board here that's going to offer plenty of footing from essentially tip to tip here. Now, you are getting 2 motors per side, which will help the boards deploy and retract no matter just how gnarly the conditions are out there. And each board can handle up to 660 pounds per side, which is one of the higher capacities in the category. Now, the Rough Country kit also comes with the interior bypass switch, so if you ever need to turn them off for whatever reason, just simply flick that switch and you're good to go. Finally, guys, the power boards from Rough Country are backed by a limited lifetime warranty in the event you should run into any issues. Now let's get into our pricing segment here, guys. And again, you've heard me say it a few times throughout the video. I'll say it again. If you do want to get into a set of power running boards for your F-150, the Rough Country options that we have on the table today will be the most affordable of their kind on the site. They're going to come in right around that $1,300 to $1,400 price point, give or take. And again, you won't find a more budget-friendly option at this time on the site, especially when you compare them to Amp Research or RBP Stealth boards, both of which of those that I just mentioned, they're going to be a few $100 more than the Rough Countries that are here in comparison. All right, getting into our installation segment here, guys, you will find that the Rough Country options do bolt up to the stock running board location, meaning there's no need for any modification there. However, there is a little bit more work involved than your typical run-of-the-mill running board. Therefore, you will need to do some added wiring, get the lights up and running, you get the point. Because of that, the site is going to call this a middle-of-the-road 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, taking me about 4 hours at absolute most to complete from start to finish. Now let's throw it out to the guys in the shop for our detailed walkthrough and tool breakdown. Check it out.
For this install, you will need a ratchet, 5mm Allen socket, 10 and 11mm sockets, 13mm ratchet wrench, a panel removal tool, and some angle cutters.
What's up, guys? Today we're going to be installing some power running boards on our F-150, so let's get started. So the first thing we're going to have to do is mount our motors / board mounts. So what we're going to do is get under the truck, right under the rocker panels there, and you're going to see 3 mounting studs for the front and rear that are already on the vehicle. So we're going to go ahead and grab the appropriate motors for the passenger driver. The motor itself will face towards the front of the vehicle. We're doing the passenger side, so this one's going to face out like this. So we'll grab our 3 13mm nuts, lock washers and flat washers for each mount of our motor. Go ahead and get those on the studs. Then we're gonna just snug those down with a 13mm socket on our ratchet. Go ahead and do that for the rear and the front mount. So we're under the truck and we've located our 3 studs here for the rear motor mount. So we're gonna go ahead and get that in place. Make sure that's secure on there. And then we're gonna grab a lock washer, flat washer, and 13mm nut. Go ahead and put one on our stud here. I know this one's hard to see. We'll do the 2 other ones. So now that we have all of our nuts mounted in place, we'll go ahead and snug those down using a 13 mil ratchet wrench. You will need to use one of these because you can't really get to this nut here because the motor's in the way. So we'll go ahead and snug these down. Now once we have this one in place, we'll go ahead and do the same thing for the front motor mount. So now you can go ahead and repeat the same step for the other side. So now it's time to go ahead and install our boards. So we're gonna go ahead and line up our movable threaded mounting blocks here to line up with our mounting points on our motor mounts. So we're gonna use 2 5mm Allen bolts and go ahead and thread those through the bottom of our mounts into our blocks here, one for the front, one for the rear. And these are movable so we can situate them around and get them where we need to be. So we'll line them up, get our bolts in, go ahead and tighten them down with a 5mm Allen socket on our ratchet. So we'll go ahead and set our boards where we want them, have them lined up on our mounts, and we'll get under here, line our blocks up, and get our bolts in. Now that we have our hardware in place, we'll go ahead and make sure our boards are where we want them. Then we'll go ahead and grab our 5mm Allen socket on our ratchet and tighten these down. Then we'll do the same thing for the front mount. Now we can go ahead and install our controller module, and that's gonna go on these center mounting bolts here that are already on the vehicle. So we'll go ahead and line these 2 mounting holes up with the 2 bottom studs, and then we're gonna get 2 lock washers, 2 flat washers, and 2 13mm nuts on there. So we'll go ahead and get this in position. Go ahead and get lock washer and flat washer on, followed by our nut. We'll go ahead and tighten that one down first just to hold it. Now this time we're going to use our 13mm socket and extension on our ratchet. Flat washer, lock washer, and nut. So now we've come to the wiring portion of our install. So what we're gonna do is come to the interior of the vehicle. First, we're gonna remove our floor mat. You will need to do that if you have them. Then we're gonna remove our kick panel and our scuff plate at first. And then we're gonna go ahead and remove some more panels on our center console. And we're gonna get some wires run up through the grommet that is below our kick panel here, and then wire everything across to the driver's side. And then we'll go ahead and continue for there. So we've got our panel removal tool. We'll go ahead and pop this stuff out, get ready and get access to where we need to go. So you can go ahead and leave this panel up like this, just enough to get access behind the carpet where you need. Everything else can go ahead and stay in place. Now we're gonna have to go ahead and pull some of our carpet up. So it's just on these retainers here on the side. We'll simply pop over those, just like so. I'm gonna get this out of the way enough to pull this back. Just enough so you can access this grommet here. And then we're gonna go ahead and cut a slit in that so we can go ahead and push our wires through. You can take it out in order to do so, which we're gonna do. Simply pops out like that. Then we'll go ahead and cut a slit in the middle of that so we can run our wires through it. So now we're gonna grab ourselves a razor blade and go ahead and cut an X-style slit in our grommet. Just watch your fingers. Okay, so now that we have our grommet cut, we're gonna actually only send our brown wire up through the grommet and back into the cab on this side. Our white wire and our on-off switch connector, we're gonna send under the cab and into the driver's side at the same grommet that's on the driver's side. So you will need to remove the same panels and access that grommet and go ahead and do the same slit. And then we're gonna pull those up through into the driver's side of the cab and get those situated. So we'll go ahead and get this through. And we're gonna send this underneath here, bring it through the hole. Go ahead and pop that grommet right back into place. Now we'll have this wire ready to get into place. Then we're gonna send the other wires under the truck, secure them up out of the way. That's kind of a personal thing, however you can get it situated. You want to avoid your drive shaft and your exhaust. Make sure it's out of the way of any hot or moving parts such as those. And go ahead and send it up through the driver's side the exact same way that we just did this side. So now that we have our white wire and our on-off switch wire up through the driver's side in that same grommet that we had in our passenger side, we can go ahead and install our on-off switch to the dashboard. Get this wiring run behind the dash and tuck it down inside of the carpet and go ahead and get it plugged into that connector. Get everything tucked away. So we'll go ahead and remove the cover for the adhesive backing on our switch. We're gonna go ahead and place this right here on our dash. Easy access, but out of the way. Make sure that's good and stuck. Now we do want to keep this switch in the on position because when we go ahead and try to hook everything up, we want our motors to stay in the out position, not in the retracted position. So that will keep them in the out position. So now we're going to take this connector, tuck it down behind our little dash panel here. Then we're going to tuck this over by our scuff panel carpeting. Make sure it's tucked in and out of the way and connect that to our harness side connector. So we'll go ahead and tuck our connector back here. We're gonna reach up behind our dash, grab that connector, pull it down and through like so. And go ahead and tuck it behind our scuff panel down to our connector that we just ran through from the other side. So we'll go ahead and plug our connector in like so. We'll go ahead and tuck this behind our scuff panel here. I have to lift up on it just a little bit to get the connector in. It's nice and tucked up out of the way. Now that we have that done, we can go ahead and back to the passenger side and get everything hooked up. So now we're going to go ahead and remove our rear kick panel from our passenger side. Maybe able to grab it, pull up. Be able to pop that out. Set that aside. This is going to help us be able to mount our sensors here on the door. And then we're going to remove our side trim panel here where our seat belt is so we can access the ground strap that we need, as well as run everything too from the front and the back. So now we'll go ahead and grab onto this panel here. You can start popping it out from this top side. So we're just going to lay it out like this, so we don't have to disconnect anything from our seatbelt anchor or anything like that. Now, if you do have an airbag module through here, you're just going to have to be very careful as to not hit or damage that or cause any crazy shocks to your seatbelt there. So now what we can do is go ahead and grab onto our weather stripping here for our door, and we're just going to pull a section of that back about right here midway where our door knocker is, so we can go ahead and get our wiring through and get our ground wire onto our door knocker, as well as our sensor onto our doorway here. So we'll just go ahead and give that a pull. Back like that. So we've got our door sensor harness here, and we've got our horseshoe connector here that we're going to go ahead and use as our ground. What we're going to do is loosen this bolt up for our door knocker. Go ahead and slide this connector on there and then tighten that back down. So we'll grab our 10 mil socket and extension on our ratchet to do so. So now that we've got that loosened up, we'll go ahead and tuck our connector back in behind the head of that bolt. Once you get that in, we'll go ahead and tighten this right back up. Then we're going to find our closer side sensor here. Go ahead and remove the cover for the adhesive backing for that. We're going to go ahead and stick that sensor right under where we just grounded our harness, just like so. We're going to run this down here alongside. Sure not the rest of our harness isn't going to get pinched. We can go ahead and reattach our weather stripping. And it just pushes right back onto our seam. And you'll notice we have a cover for adhesive backing on this stripping as well. So you can go ahead and remove that. Flip that around. Stick that right into place right there. Then we'll go ahead and do the front door sensor. So now we've come to the front door, and we're going to go ahead and grab that brown wire we brought up through our grommet. We're going to plug that into our sensor harness just like so. Then we're going to run our front door sensor the same way we did our rear door. We're going to pull back our weather strip, put it right under our door latch here, and then go ahead and reinstall our weather strip. So now we can go ahead and install our magnets to our doors, and that's what's going to signal our sensors here that the doors are open or closed and do our automatic up or down function. So what we're going to do is grab our magnet, remove that cover off our adhesive backing. Then we're going to line up our magnet with our sensor. Now the sensor is right below our door latch here. So we're going to go pretty much right below our bottom latch bolt here in this section, right in the center. Stick that there. Then you do want to kind of close your door and make sure that lines up. That looks like it's going to line up pretty good. Okay. Then we'll do the same thing for the rear door. So now we can go ahead and install our rear door magnet. That's going to go pretty much right here below our knocker opening. Again, peel our cover off. Go ahead and stick that magnet right there. And again, just double check. Make sure it's going to line up with your sensor. That looks good. Now once we have these on, we can go ahead and reinstall our paneling over here. And we'll go ahead and get our seatbelt trim panel back in. Now you want to make sure you're not pinching any of your wires you just put in, nor are you pinching your seatbelt. Snap those back into place. Work our way down. You want to make sure your weather stripping is on top of your trim. If you need to, take your trim tool. Go ahead and work this out. Go ahead and snap all this back into place. And the same thing for the front portion of this panel. And then we'll go ahead and reinstall our kick panel. Go ahead and just pop that back into place. Okay. So now we'll go ahead and make sure our front carpet is back into place. Our scuff panel here, back on. Go ahead and pop that weather strip out right there. Then we can go ahead and reinstall our front kick panel. Now once you have this complete for this side, you can go ahead and repeat this same process for the other side. So now that we have everything in the cab set up, we're gonna come back under the vehicle and go ahead and install our lights and get our harness plugged into our motors, as well as our control module that is under this side. And we'll also show you how to route your rest of your harness over to the driver's side, so you'll be able to plug that in as well. So we're gonna get up under here, and each of our connectors for our motors are labeled. So passenger side is going to be rear right and front right. So we'll plug those in, and your light connectors are right off of those. So we'll get those plugged in, get our lights stuck in on our pinch welds, and then go ahead and plug our controller module in, and then we're going to route everything up to the battery. Now we'll go ahead and plug in our rear motor. Make sure that snaps into place. So now we're going to go ahead and install our rear LED light. So we'll remove this cover off our adhesive backing. We're going to stick that right to the outside of our pinch weld right here, right between these two rivets, just like so. We'll go ahead and plug that into our connector on our harness. And it does have a little dowel to line up. Find that dowel. Snap that on. And then we'll do the same thing for the front motor, and then we can get our controlling module plugged in. Now we can grab our cluster of connectors here that goes to our controller module, and we've got our large connector, small connector, and then our two lighting connectors. So we'll go ahead and plug all those into our control module. We'll have a red and a black side connector for our lights. Go ahead and do black to black and red to red. And we're going to go ahead and secure this excess wiring up out of the way with our supplied zip ties. And then we'll show you how to run the rest of the harness over to the driver's side. So now you can kind of find your own way to secure your harness and make it your own, tuck it however you want. You do have supplied zip ties. We have a convenient set of holes in our frame. We're going to go ahead and get this part of our harness secured with. So we'll go ahead and get our zip tie on here. You do want a little bit of slack in your wiring just to make sure nothing's overly tight and gonna break or anything. And then we'll cut the excess off of our zip ties with our angle cutters, like so. And we're pretty much going to do the same thing for the whole harness, and we'll show you how to route your other side of your harness to the driver's side. So for the driver's side of your harness, the best spot to route it across without touching any hot or moving parts is this cross member here. There's a few spots we can secure it along the way. As you can see, our other wires are already ran on that route. And we'll just go ahead and make sure that harness gets all the way to the driver's side. And again, you can secure this however you want, but it's really easy just to zip tie it along the way here. There's a couple spots along there. And you can send a zip tie up through here, just kind of zip tie it to the cross member like so. Or again, you can do it however you feel fit. Just avoid your exhaust, drive shaft, anything like that. So now we have to make our connection with our battery. So what we're going to do is take our positive and negative connectors from our harness, route them up through our wheel well behind our fender liner, and go ahead and get them to the battery and go ahead and make our connections. So we're going to tuck this behind our crash bar back here just to make sure it's completely out of the way of the wheel. Pull that all the way through here. And then we'll go ahead and tuck this up behind our fender liner right here. This is going to be a tricky part. You don't want it to get caught on anything. Now this is going to be a bit of a reach, but it is doable. You're going to reach back behind your lines here down towards your fender liner go ahead and grab that harness and pull it up through so we can get it to our battery. So we've got our harness here, pull that up and through. Now we can make our positive and negative connections. You'll notice each of these sides are fused. So now we've got our harness up. We're going to go ahead and make our positive and negative terminal connections. So for our positive terminal, we're going to come here and grab our 11 mil socket on our ratchet. Go ahead and remove this nut. Go ahead and set our positive ring terminal on. Go ahead and reinstall that nut right back on there. And go ahead and tighten that right back down. For our negative terminal, go ahead and grab our 10 millimeter socket, remove this nut. And place our negative ring terminal on. Reinstall that nut. And go ahead and tighten that back down. Make sure your harness is out of the way of any hot or spinning parts. Alrighty guys, that about wraps up our review and install of our Rough Country power running boards for your 15 to current F-150 Super Crew. Thanks for watching, and as always, for everything F-150, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.